There is a certain poetry in the rhythm of life, the way the sun bows out so the moon can take her place, the way rivers carve their own path through stubborn stone, the way a seed must break apart beneath the earth before it ever kisses the sky. It is an old, unshakable truth that before we rise, we must first fall. And yet, we fear the falling, as though it is a sentence rather than a season. We whisper curses at our failures, hang our heads in shame when the world sees us stumble, and question the worth of our journey when the ground meets us with unkind hands. But what if the fall was never meant to destroy us? What if it was only there to remind us of the power, the strength, the beauty of rising again? It is easy to praise the mountain top, easy to stand with arms stretched wide and breathe in the victory of high places. It is easy to love yourself when the wind is at your back, the road is clear, and your name is spoken with admiration. But what about the valley? What about the darkness of the descent, when your own feet betray you and the world no longer looks at you with favor? What about the moment when you lose everything you held close, when the door slams shut, when the laughter dies and all that remains is silence? There will come a day when life will push you to your knees. It will not ask your permission. It will not wait until you are ready. It will come like a storm in the night, uninvited and unrelenting, tearing through everything you built with trembling hands. And in that moment, you will ask yourself if you have the strength to stand again. You will question the worth of your fight, the purpose of your pain, the reason behind your struggle. But hear me now, falling is not the end of your story. The world will try to make you believe that failure is a stain, something shameful, something to be hidden beneath false smiles and empty words. But failure is not a curse. No, it is a teacher. It is the sculptor that chisels away at our weakness, the fire that refines the gold within us, the storm that clears the path we were too afraid to walk before. You see, when you fall, the world will watch. Some will pity you, some will mock you, some will whisper that you were never meant to stand in the first place. But let them watch, let them witness the breaking, because when the rising comes, they will not be able to deny the power of your name. Falling does not strip you of your worth. It does not take away your brilliance, your value, your purpose. A diamond is still a diamond, even when it is buried beneath the weight of the earth. A bird is still meant to soar, even when its wings are broken. And you, my dear, are still meant to rise, even when the weight of your past tries to hold you down. Do you not see the beauty of it all? The way the ocean must first recede before it gathers the strength to crash upon the shore. The way the night must first swallow the sky before the dawn can break through with golden hands. The way a child stumbles, falls, cries, but then they rise, and suddenly their feet know the way forward. It has always been this way. Life is not measured by the moments we remain standing, but by the courage we find in the moments we fall. You will rise again, but not as the person you once were. No, you will rise stronger, wiser, hungrier for the life you were meant to live. You will rise with the weight of your past behind you and the fire of your future before you. You will rise with scars that tell a story, not of weakness, but of survival. And when you stand tall once more, the world will not be able to look away, because there is nothing more beautiful, nothing more powerful, nothing more breathtaking than a soul who has known the fall and still chooses to rise. Life has a way of teaching through contrast, through the collision of joy and sorrow, triumph and despair. It is in the falling that we come to understand the true meaning of rising. Without the weight of failure pressing against our backs, how could we ever learn the sweetness of standing tall? Without the sting of loss, how could we cherish the beauty of abundance? Without the breaking, how could we ever know the strength of rebuilding? This is the rhythm of life, one step forward, two steps back, and yet somehow always moving towards something greater. There will be moments when you stand at the edge of your own ruin, staring into the wreckage of what once was, and wonder if you have the courage to begin again. The world will tell you that your time has passed, that your chances have run dry, that the weight of your mistakes is too heavy to carry forward, and perhaps you will believe them for a time. Perhaps you will sit among the ashes, convinced that the fire has taken too much, that the ground beneath you is too scorched to bear life again. But even in that place, even in that darkness, something within you will stir, a whisper, a pull, a knowing that you were not made to wither here. You were not made to be consumed by despair. You were made to rise. There is no shame in the falling. The shame only comes when we refuse to rise. The greatest figures of history were not those who never knew failure, but those who met it, embraced it, and walked through it with unshaken determination. A seed does not grow without first surrendering itself to the dirt. A caterpillar does not transform without first being wrapped in the darkness of its cocoon. And a soul does not reach its fullest glory without first being tested in the depths of hardship. This is the beauty of the journey, not that it is easy, but that it is necessary. Every setback, every heartbreak, every loss is a chapter in the story of your becoming. Think of the trees that stand tall in the forest. They have known storms that have stripped them bare, winds that have bent them low, winters that have left them trembling in the cold. But still they stand. Still they reach for the sky. Still they grow, not despite the storms, but because of them. Their roots grow deeper with every trial. Their trunks grow stronger with every season that passes. And so it is with you. The trials you face are not meant to destroy you. They are meant to anchor you, to fortify you, to shape you into something unbreakable. You may not see it now, but every fall has prepared you for something greater. Every tear you have shed has watered the ground beneath your feet, making way for new growth. Every moment of pain has sharpened your spirit, refining you into something more powerful than you ever imagined. You have walked through nights that felt endless, through storms that seemed too fierce to survive, and yet here you are, still breathing, still fighting, still carrying the fire within you. That alone is proof that you were meant for more. The road ahead will not always be easy. There will still be days when you stumble, when doubt creeps in, when the weight of your past threatens to pull you under. But let me tell you something. Your past does not define you. Your mistakes do not own you. Your failures are not the final word. You are more than the sum of your missteps. You are more than the moments that brought you to your knees. You are a force, a warrior, a soul that refuses to be silenced by hardship. You were not placed on this earth to live in the shadows of what once was. You were placed here to rise again and again, until the world has no choice but to witness the brilliance of your light. There's a strength that comes only from breaking, a wisdom that is born only in the waiting, a power that is found only in the struggle. It is easy to admire those who seem to have it all, who walk with unshaken confidence, who never let the world see them falter. But the ones who have truly lived, the ones who carry the most light, are the ones who have walked through fire and emerged strong. They are the ones who have fallen so many times that they have learned not to fear the ground because they know they will always rise again. You may feel lost now. You may feel like the weight of your burdens is too much to bear. You may feel like the fall has taken too much from you. But hear me when I say this, you are not finished. You have not reached the end of your story. There is still more for you. There is still a rising ahead, still a triumph waiting for its moment. You may not see it now, but deep within you, the embers are still burning. You are being prepared for something greater than you can imagine. Look around you. Look at the world and see how even the smallest things hold the wisdom of falling and rising again. The river that dries in the heat of summer always finds its way back with the rains. The flower that wilts in the evening still lifts its petals when the morning sun arrives. The bird that falls from its nest does not stay on the ground, it learns to fly. And so will you. You were created with the same resilience, the same ability to rebuild, to recover, to rise. The world may try to tell you otherwise. It may tell you that you are broken beyond repair, that your chances have run out, that you will never stand as tall as you once did. But the world does not decide your destiny. You do. And as long as there is breath in your body, as long as there is fire in your soul, you have the power to rise. You have the power to rewrite your story, to take the lessons of your past and use them as stepping stones to something greater. It will not be easy. There will still be days when the weight of it all feels unbearable. There will still be moments when you question if you have the strength to keep going. But in those moments, remember this: strength is not found in the absence of struggle. It is forged in the very heart of it. Every time you choose to get back up, every time you refuse to let failure define you, every time you take another step forward, even when your legs feel weak, you are proving to yourself and to the world that you are unstoppable. Think of the battles you have already won. Think of the nights you thought you would not survive, and yet here you are. Think of the dreams that once felt impossible, and yet somehow they came to pass. You have been tested, you have been stretched, you have been knocked down, but you have never been defeated, and you never will be as long as you refuse to give up on yourself. The fall is never the final chapter. It is only a pause, a moment of stillness before the rising begins again. It is a preparation, a refining, a necessary part of the journey. It is the moment that teaches you what you are truly made of. It is the moment that strips away the fear, the doubt, the hesitation, and leaves only the truth, that you were born to rise again and again until nothing and no one can stand in your way. So do not fear the fall. Do not curse the moments of hardship, the days of doubt, the nights of sorrow. They are not there to break you. They are there to build you. They are there to remind you that no matter how many times you stumble, no matter how far you fall, you will always, always rise again. Life has a way of humbling even the strongest among us, a way of testing the ones who believe they have conquered their demons, settled their fears, mastered their path. It does not matter how wise you are, how careful, how prepared, the fall will come. And when it does, it will not ask for your permission, nor will it wait until you are ready. It will arrive like an uninvited guest, sudden and unapologetic, disrupting the comfort you built with your own hands. You will know the bitterness of broken dreams. You will feel the weight of disappointments that seem too great to bear. You will look into the mirror one day and barely recognize the person staring back at you, wondering how someone who once stood so tall could have been brought so low. And when that day comes, when the fall shakes you to your core, you will have a choice to make. Some will choose to stay down. Some will accept defeat, convince themselves that their time has passed, that their purpose has withered, that there's no road left to walk. They will let the fall define them, shape them into something smaller, quieter, more afraid. They will become prisoners of their own despair, bound by the belief that they were never meant to rise again. But you, my dear, you must not be one of them. You must refuse to let your hardships be the end of your story. You must learn to stand even when your knees shake, to move forward even when your heart is heavy, to believe in yourself even when the world has turned its back on you, because no fall is final. No failure is the last word. There is always another chapter waiting to be written, another chance waiting to be seized, another sunrise waiting to break the darkness. It is in the rising that you will find your true strength. Not in the easy days, not in the moments of comfort, but in the times when everything in you screams to give up and yet you push forward anyway. It is in the struggle that you will come to know the depths of your own power. It is in the pain that you will uncover the truth of who you really are. Think of all the ones who came before you, the ones who were knocked down by life but refused to stay there, the ones who were betrayed, abandoned, humiliated, yet still found a way to rise from the ashes. They were not special in ways that you are not. They did not have some secret strength that you lack. The only difference between them and those who never rise again is a choice to keep going, to keep believing, to keep fighting when everything seems lost. The world will not always be kind to you. It will not always make space for your dreams, nor will it always recognize your worth. There will be times when you give everything you have only to be met with rejection. Times when you pour your soul into something only to watch it crumble in your hands. Times when the ones you trusted turn away, leaving you alone with your pain. And in those moments, it will be tempting to believe that you are not enough, that your efforts are in vain, that life has chosen to be cruel to you and you alone. But hear me now. Life is not against you. Life is shaping you, molding you, strengthening you in ways that comfort never could. The fire that burns away your old self is the same fire that will forge you into something greater. The storm that shakes you is the same storm that will clear the path ahead. The pain that nearly breaks you is the same pain that will give birth to a power you never knew you had. Do not be afraid of the breaking. Do not curse the fall. For every time you rise wiser, stronger, more unshakable than before. The same trials that seemed unbearable yesterday will one day be nothing more than distant memories, reminders of how far you have come, proof that nothing, not even the hardest faults, could keep you from standing again. It will not happen overnight. The rising is not a single moment, but a process, a slow unfolding of strength, a steady reclaiming of power. Some days will be easier than others. Some days the fire in you will burn so brightly that you will know with certainty that you were made for greatness. Other days you will struggle to find even a flicker of that flame. But do not mistake the struggle for failure. Healing is not linear. Growth is not immediate. Strength is not always loud. Some victories are quiet. Some battles are won simply by refusing to give up. You will have to unlearn the lies you once believed about yourself, the ones that told you that your worth was tied to your success, that your value depended on the approval of others, that your failures defined you. You will have to let go of the shame, the guilt, the regret that tries to keep you bound to the past. You will have to stop punishing yourself for the moments you were weak, for the choices you made when you did not know better, for the times when you fell apart because you did not yet know how to stand. Do you not see it yet, the beauty of it all? The beauty of the fall, the rise, the journey in between? Life is not meant to be a straight road. It is meant to be a series of descents and ascents. A dance between hardship and triumph, a masterpiece painted with both darkness and light. The wounds you carry are not signs of your weakness. They are evidence that you have lived, that you have fought, that you have risen again and again, refusing to let the world break you. There is no limit to how many times you can rise, no expiration date on your ability to rebuild. No threshold beyond which you are no longer allowed to try again. As long as you are breathing, as long as there is fire in your soul, as long as there is a single ounce of strength left in your bones, you have the power to rise. And you will, again and again and again, until one day you will look back at every fall, every hardship, every moment you thought would destroy you, and you will, because you will know without a doubt that each one was simply preparing you for the greatness that was always meant to be yours. There will be moments when you wonder if the struggle is worth it, when the weight of the fall feels too heavy, when the journey of rising seems too long. There will be moments when you look at others who seem to have walked an easier road, who seem untouched by hardship, and you will ask yourself why your path had to be the one filled with thorns. It will be tempting to believe that you were meant to suffer, that the weight you carry is too much, that the climb is too steep. But what you do not yet see is that every step, every trial, every setback is carving you into something unshakable. You are being refined in the fire, strengthened in the storm, prepared for something greater than you can now imagine. The pain is not without purpose. The breaking is not without meaning. Nothing that you have endured has been in vain. Every tear, every wound, every loss has been shaping you, teaching you, equipping you for the life that is waiting for you on the other side of the struggle. You may feel lost now. You may feel like the dreams you once held so close are slipping through your fingers, like the world has moved forward without you, like you are running a race you can never win. But let me tell you something. There is no timeline for your rise. There is no deadline for your breakthrough. The world will try to tell you that you must have achieved certain things by a certain age, that if you have not yet reached your destination, then you never will. But the world does not decide your destiny. You do. Some of the greatest triumphs in history came after the longest waits. Some of the strongest souls were once the most broken. Some of the most unshakable warriors were once the ones who fell the hardest. The fall does not disqualify you. The time it takes to rise does not diminish your worth. There is no shame in taking the time you need to heal, to learn, to rebuild. The only shame would be in giving up before you see what is waiting for you on the other side. You are not behind. You are not too late. You are not forgotten. You are exactly where you need to be, learning what you need to learn, becoming who you need to become. The struggles you face are not proof that you are failing. They are proof that you are growing. And growth is not always easy. Sometimes it is painful. Sometimes it is slow. Sometimes it feels like you are being torn apart from the inside out. But that is only because you are shedding what no longer serves you. You are making space for something greater. There is a version of you that you have not yet met, a version of you who has risen from every fall, who has turned every setback into a stepping stone, who has used every wound as a source of wisdom. That version of you is already within you, waiting for you to step into your power, waiting for you to recognize that you have always been capable of more than you believed. You do not need to become someone else. You only need to awaken to the strength that has always been inside you. You may not feel that strength now. You may feel tired, defeated, unsure of how to take the next step. But strength is not always loud. Sometimes it is quiet. Sometimes it is simply the act of getting out of bed when your heart feels heavy. Sometimes it is putting one foot in front of the other, even when you do not know where the path will lead. Sometimes it is choosing to believe in yourself when the world has given you every reason to doubt. The rise is not about perfection. It is not about having all the answers or never making mistakes again. It is about refusing to let the past define you. It is about choosing every single day to move forward even when the way is unclear. It is about trusting that even though you cannot see the full picture now, every piece is coming together exactly as it should. There will still be obstacles. There will still be moments of doubt. There will still be days when you question whether you are strong enough, whether you are worthy enough, whether you have what it takes to keep going. And on those days, I want you to remember this. You have already survived everything you once thought would break you. You have already walked through storms that should have drowned you, through nights that felt endless, through battles that should have left you defeated, and yet, here you are, still standing, still breathing, still carrying the fire within you. That is proof enough that you were made to rise. That is proof enough that your story is not over. That is proof enough that no fall, no failure, no hardship will ever have the power to destroy you unless you let it. You are stronger than you know, you are more powerful than you realize, and you are far from finished. One day you will look back on this moment, on this struggle, on this season of hardship, and you will see it for what it truly was, not the end, but the beginning. Not a curse, but a blessing in disguise. Not proof of your weakness, but the foundation of your greatest strength. And when that day comes, you will stand tall, unshaken, knowing without a doubt that every fall was simply preparing you for the rise that was always meant to be yours. There will come a day when you no longer flinch at the memories of your hardest nights. A day when you no longer carry the weight of what broke you, when the echoes of your failures no longer haunt your steps. A day when you will stand in the same places where you once crumbled and realize that you are not that same person anymore. You will see that the pain you thought would last forever has become distant, that the sorrow you once thought would consume you has softened into wisdom, that the burdens you carried for so long have finally fallen away. But that day will not come by chance. It will not come simply because time has passed. It will come because you refuse to give up, because you refuse to stay broken, because you chose again and again to rise. It will come because you did the hard work of healing, because you faced the shadows instead of running from them, because you decided that your story was worth fighting for. And when that day comes, you will not regret a single step of the journey, no matter how painful it was, because you will see that every tear, every wound, every setback was shaping you into the person you were always meant to become. The world has a way of making people forget how powerful they are. It tells you that you are only as valuable as your success, that your worth is determined by what you achieve, that if you fail too many times, you are no longer worthy of another chance. But none of that is true. You are not defined by your worst moments. You are not reduced to your mistakes. You are not less deserving of joy, of peace, of love, simply because you have stumbled along the way. If anything, the falls have made you more worthy, not less. They have made you deeper, wiser, more compassionate. They have given you the kind of strength that cannot be bought, the kind of resilience that cannot be taught. Some people will try to define you by your lowest points. They will look at your past and try to tell you that you are not capable of more. They will remind you of your failures, your shortcomings, the moments when you are not at your best. But do not listen to them. They only see a fraction of the story. They do not see the way you have fought to rise, the battles you have won in silence, the mountains you have climbed just to stand where you are. They do not know the nights you spent wrestling with doubt, the mornings when getting out of bed felt like a victory. They do not know how much courage it took for you to keep going when every part of you wanted to give up. You are not the person they think you are. You are not even the person you used to be. Every fall has changed you. Every struggle has refined you. Every heartbreak has strengthened you. And because of that, you are no longer someone who can be easily defeated. Life has tried to break you, and yet here you stand, unbowed, unshaken, ready for whatever comes next. There will always be more battles ahead. That is the nature of life. It will keep testing you, keep stretching you, keep forcing you to grow. But you will not face those battles as the same person who once feared the fall. You will face them as someone who has risen before, someone who has proven, if only to themselves, that no amount of pain can keep them down. You will not be afraid of failure anymore because you will know that failure is never final. You will not be afraid of setbacks because you will have learned that every setback carries within it the seed of a comeback. You will not be afraid of loss because you will have seen that even when everything is taken from you, you still have the power to rebuild. And there is something beautiful about that kind of strength. something unshakable about a soul that has learned to rise again and again. It is the kind of strength that cannot be faked, the kind that is not loud or boastful, but steady and sure, the kind that does not need to prove itself because it knows that it has already won. One day you will meet someone who is where you once were, someone who has fallen and does not yet know how to rise. And when that moment comes, you will not look at them with judgment. You will not tell them to simply get over it, to move on as if pain is something that can be dismissed so easily. Instead, you will reach out a hand. You will tell them that you understand, that you have been there before, that you have walked through the same fire and come out stronger. And in that moment, all the pain you once endured will become something greater than suffering. It will become a light, a guide, a testament to the power of rising. The falls will not last forever. The pain will not define you. The struggle will not break you. There is a future waiting for you that is greater than anything you have lost, greater than anything you have feared, greater than anything you have dared to dream. And when you finally reach it, when you stand on the other side of the battle, you will know that every fall was worth it, because every fall was leading you here. Every fall was making you ready. Every fall was preparing you for the rise that was always meant to be yours. You have walked through fire, stumbled in the dark, and faced storms that threatened to break you. Yet, here you are, standing, breathing, rising. The beauty of falling is not in the pain, not in the heartbreak, not in the moments when everything feels lost. The beauty is in what comes after. The strength that is built, the wisdom that is gained, the resilience that is born. Every fall has shaped you, refined you, and prepared you for something greater. You are not defined by your lowest moments, but by your ability to rise beyond them. The journey has not been easy, but it has been necessary. So stand tall, knowing that no failure is final, no setback is permanent, and no fall has the power to keep you down unless you let it. You were always meant to rise, and this is only the beginning.